So today I wanted to talk about my inactivity in 2019. I haven't posted since October of 2018, which was Time Copsssss episode 2. I'm just gonna cut to the chase. It ain't happening. Time Copsssss episode 3, episode 4, and 5 are not happening. None of them are happening, and I want to explain in this video why that is the case. So if you really don't care about Time Copsssss or any of my lore videos, you can just click off the video. It doesn't really matter to you. However, if you do care about Time Copsssss, I'm going to give some insight into the production of it and why there were some problems with it and why we can't continue doing it. So, yeah, you can stick around for that. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, Time Copsssss is a continuation of a previous series that I had done called the All Shafts Fall Canon. It's basically just like a shitty version of Filthy Frank, if that's even possible. It definitely had some more racist undertones to it.
Bitch ass nigga fucking Popeyes! Jew ass bitch nigga crack ass! Cracker!
It's definitely not something I would want future employers to ever see, but I'll deal with that later. Time Copsssss, to me at least, was sort of like a redemption arc. At the time of episode 1, Time Copsssss was like supposed to be the peak of my career, and I have no idea how I thought that, considering obvious problems with it. I mean, just look at him. Look at the guy. He doesn't even know what's going on. He doesn't know what he's doing. Goddamn, I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall right now. There were many red flags in the making of the show. Namely, there were only 3 crew members who were, by the way, they were all the main characters. So there were only 3 people working on Time Copsssss, and that caused many problems. So really, there was no camera crew or anything. There wasn't even like a guy who just did nothing and said he was the director or the producer. There was no one. It was just me, the guy who plays Studsky, and the guy who played Clutch. And the problem with having no actual camera crew or anything is that you're very limited in what you can do with your shots. If there were all 3 of us in one shot, that means it's a tripod. There's a tripod shot. You can't move the camera. No one could move the camera. If I wanted a sort of camera move, I'd have to do it in post, and those don't look the same as real camera zooms. Filming an episode was an absolute chore. Like, it would have benefited so much from having a bigger crew. Another side effect is that a lot was cut out of the original script. There was a whole plot line that was supposed to be established about this magical artifact called the Infininut, and in one of the bloopers, it's briefly mentioned.
There's only one man crazy enough to do this. His name is Martin Luther Queen Sr. He must be after the Infininut.
What's the Infininut?
But we never actually got around to filming the importance of it. It was just that one line, and we didn't even have the prop for it. It was nuts. We were not prepared in the slightest to actually make this a reality, and I think when we were writing the script, we didn't think about the actual, Sorry, I had to take a drink. So good. What was I saying? Another glaring issue with the production, other than a lack of crew, was the distance between crew members. Namely, Studsky lived hours away from California, and that caused many problems. Basically, we had to like film whole episodes in one day. Time Cops 1 and 2 were filmed in the span of about 5 hours. We should have also planned our episodes a bit better. I sort of mentioned that already, but the scripts weren't formatted very well. They looked like shit. There were also no camera directions or shot lists, which meant that we had to spend time, like, figuring out how to frame our shots on the go, which just adds more time that we didn't have. We had no time to, like, dilly-dally. We had to get the episode done in one day. But I've been ranting enough about episode 1. Let's talk about episode 2, because that one was better, right? No. Sir. Episode 2 had a 7-month hiatus from episode 1, and I had used this 7-month period to write the entire show by myself. I thought by doing that, we would have a head start after finishing the second episode, so that there wouldn't be another huge delay between episodes. This was not the right move, because I sort of rushed to making the epic, crazy, intricate plot line without thinking about the reality of the filmmaking process. I should have instead used that time to perfect and plan episode 2 so that it could be better than episode 1, but sadly that didn't happen and it sort of just fell short. When we finally got around to filming, I was, like, obsessed with Time Cops. And I think that narcissism, that Leo narcissism, lol, what a Leo moment. There were several problems that I had just sort of overlooked because no one was telling me, no, that's not a good idea, or no, you're being a dumbass. Once again, a similar problem that we had in episode 1 was the lack of a designated cameraman. We had to pass around the camera between shots, which you can actually see me filming in the Sorcerer Brian outfit in the reflection of Studsky's glasses. I had also decided that because episode 2 was going to be so much better than episode 1, that instead of using my stupid Sony camcorder, which I'm using right now, I would use a DSLR, stupid fancy DSLR. And the problem with using a DSLR is that it requires something called skill to actually use, and nobody except for me, barely, I barely know how to use a DSLR properly. Nobody on the set knew how to really use one, so many of the shots in episode 2 are either unfocused or overexposed, or sometimes both. But other than the technical parts of the production, the plot-wise, episode 2 was better-ish than episode 1. But they both have similar problems. Neither episode 1 or 2 have very clear structure. And that's due to a lack of planning and overall minimal writing experience. For some reason, we didn't really take any time to explain the motives of the antagonists, nor did we give them any screen time. I said scream time. What is scream time? Can we get some scream time in the chat? Sherman Luther Queen Sr., who was a returning character from the canon, was supposed to be a reveal. Like, it was supposed to be a big deal. And it really didn't happen that way in episode 1. He just sort of shows up in the middle of this weird fight scene. They're like shooting nothing, but I don't know. He just shows up and he's like, oh god, oh no. And then he gets killed. He gets murdered in a cave by 2 cops and a Jew. Max Clout in episode 2 probably didn't even know that his name was Max Clout because we didn't really establish that either. He shows up for about a minute, and there was a little setup that sort of explain how he does some of the things he does, like mind control?
Yeah, of course I know Hebrew. The Jews got great magic, teleportation spells, levitation spells, that one mind control spell.
But I don't think it was even clear that Max Clout had the power that Sorcerer Brian was even talking about. So basically, if you're watching it and you have no idea what's going on, you're like, who's this guy in a morph suit? What's he doing? Why is he running? Why are they running from him? What does he plan on doing? He basically just shows up, steals the time car, and then the episode ends. It's whack. So finally, we've made it to the end of the video. The reason why I'm really not gonna make Time Cops anymore. There have been complications between the cast, to say the least. Stuff that I can't really talk about, but it definitely has impacted the production. And all of that went down about 8 months ago. But even then, I was still very dedicated to making it happen. I had even written newer versions of the script, and admittedly, they're a little better than the originals. But there were major roadblocks that forced me to change the original story that I was trying to tell. I basically had to get rid of one of the major characters of the show, and there was no way of doing that without it seeming like a retcon. It would have looked stupid and it would have made no real sense. After all the hours I've spent like trying to make Time Cops work, I just can't. I just can't. I have been cooking up a new project that I'm gonna take slow this time. I'm gonna take it slow and steady. I'm gonna try to plan it out a bit more. Make sure that it's really good for everyone. I really want to tell a story that people will enjoy. Besides all my stupid lore videos, you know, music, there's a little bit of that coming. There's a little bit of gaming that I might do just because we need to upload a bit more. We've been lacking. Anytime that there's a string of Benny videos, you know there's a problem. You know that I'm being lazy. I'm glad I got to make this video. I think I just needed to get all that stuff just out there for people to know. Even if there's not going to be many views on this video. So, for all the people who decided to watch me ramble on about my failure, y'all are beautiful. All right, I want you to know that you're beautiful. All right, you're great. So, I'll see you next time. So it's telling me in the script that I have to blow a kiss into the camera. Now, I'm not gay, so instead I'm just gonna tuck in the homies. All right. This tuck is for you. I know it looks like it's daytime right now, but that's not real. That's the magic of editing. This was all edited in. This light, it's not even real. Watch. Boom, it's nighttime. I'm in the dark. I'm in the dark. Go to bed. Hey, go to bed. Get some sleep. Get that schlub. I'll see you next time.